If you're like me, you get a lot of your reading recommendations from people online, either BookTube or TikTok. And sometimes they're worth it and other times they're just not worth the hype. So these are 20 books/series that I've been recommended by TikTok and whether I think they're worth it or not. The first book, Old But Gold, is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Worth it. 100% worth it. I think everybody should read this book. It is amazing. It is deep. It is insightful. And it almost feels real. Like you want to research these characters because she made them so real. However, I didn't like many other of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books personally. I like Daisy Jones and the Six, but other than that, this is the one that's worth the hype the most, in my opinion. So would recommend. In this book, you follow Evelyn through different phases in her life and through a bunch of years as she goes through 7 different husbands, her career, her struggle with mental health, her struggle with being in the public eye. It's very, very interesting, and like I said, I would really, really recommend it, especially if you do like more historical fiction. Next, I have the Powerless series. So I have 4 books. I don't have the 5th one because I kind of fell off with the series. I didn't love the last book. So for me, this is a yes and a no / a maybe. I didn't particularly love the first book. I loved the second book, loved the third book, and didn't love the 4th book. So as a whole, I'd say maybe. It depends what you like. It does borrow a lot of its content from other books. If you like The Selection, if you like The Hunger Games, if you like Red Queen, I think you would like this, but it does give nods to those books, like I said, and it's not completely an original story. I did like the banter between the main 2 characters, but other than that, I felt like there was a lot of repetition. This follows Payden Gray, who is an ordinary in a world full of extraordinaries or people with magical abilities. She is hiding in plain sight because people who are ordinary and have no powers are shunned and kind of culled in this society. So she gets called into these annual games where all the elites kind of challenge each other to become the most elite, I think. And they have like trials and stuff, and she enters this game and actually makes it quite far with absolutely no magical abilities. So it is fun in that sense, but the trials repeated themselves a couple of times and it just got a little bit monotonous. There was too much back and forth banter between the 2 characters. I didn't like the direction where the last book went. I just didn't feel like it was necessary. It was a fun time, and like I said, the 2 middle books are my absolute favorite as they don't really resemble any other books that I've ever read. Next, I have Bear Town. I've only read the first book and I literally was so resistant to picking this up because literary fiction is not my favorite genre. I find it a little bit boring and a little mundane. However, this book had so much feeling and emotion and such real life events going on. It actually felt real once again, and I absolutely loved it. I would 100% recommend. It's 100% worth the hype, and I can't wait to continue the series. This follows a town where hockey is like everything to them. It's a little bumfuck nowhere town, and they're only known for their hockey. And when a tragedy strikes this town, everybody needs to band together to see what they can do to kind of not choose sides. Things have changed slightly. I'm sorry, I just had to get up and take a phone call. But next we have Fourth Wing. So this is the Imperium series, if I'm not mistaken. So we have Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. Absolutely love these books. I would 100% recommend them. I know the writing isn't anything to write home about. It is very simple. It is also sometimes very cringe, but that just made it feel more real and more like current. Even though they have dragons and it's fantasy, I just absolutely ate up every bit of it. I know a lot of people didn't love the second 2 books, but I listened to audio and read them, so immersive read, and that was amazing. Amazing. I also listened to the dramatized, is it called that? Or graphic audio. I listened to the graphic audio. Absolutely love it. Would 100% recommend, and I think it's 100% worth the hype. If you haven't heard what this book is about, you've been living under a rock. It took me a long time to read it and pick it up as well, but eventually when I did, absolutely love it. We follow Violet Sorrengail, who goes to a war college, and she's meant to go as a scribe, but ends up going to the Riders Quadrant, which is dragon riding. She doesn't have a lot of muscle tone. She has an autoimmune disease, I think, which bruises easily. She has brittle bones, and she ends up having to survive this college because of her family name. Very interesting, very amazing. I love the dragons. I just love the whole cast of characters and would 100% recommend. Think it's 100% worth it. This book I read quite recently, The City of Gods and Monsters. I only read the first book. Unfortunately, I don't think this is worth the hype, and I've seen so many people bang on about the romance and all of that. I didn't see it. I didn't see it at all. I found the female character really, really, really annoying. I liked the main male character in that he was morally grey, he had like more of like a tainted background, and I absolutely ate that up. But the main female character just threw it all out the water for me. She is a mortal amongst a bunch of supernatural beings, vampires, halcyons, all these things, and she still thinks that she can take them on, which really pissed me off. Didn't love it. I gave it a 2.5 stars, so I personally wouldn't recommend this. Then we have Fairytale. I've been looking forward to this book for the longest time. I've had it downloaded on my Kindle for about a year and a half, and I never got around to it because it was like 700 pages, and I'm very intimidated by thick book. And when I decided to pick it up, I was very, very much disappointed. I found the whole story to just be a little bit too verbose. I didn't like the nods to Northanger Abbey. I felt like it was overdone. I felt the book was a little bit overwritten. I do like the fated mates and in every lifetime. I absolutely eat that shit up. But everything else just felt a little bit too convoluted in my opinion. The main female character kept making the same mistakes, walking into the same traps, and for me, that just doesn't work. So we follow, I can't even remember her name, our main female character. She's an orphan. She grew up in an orphanage. These two nuns look after her, and then one day she receives a letter to say that her biological dad had left her something in his will and he'd passed away. So she goes to this town called Fairytale, and nothing is quite as it seems. So we just follow her journey into finding out who this person is, what is going on in this town, why is everything so weird. It was too much. It was too much thrown into one story, mixed it up, and then I was just like so bored. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it. Next, Listen for the Lie. This one did its rounds quite a bit, both on BookTube and BookTok, and I finally picked it up because there was a sale and I was like, absolutely have to get this. Amazing, absolutely amazing. I did an immersive read once again because this is more of like a podcast style book, and just listening to it as well made it so much more worth it. Incredible. This follows our main female character, Lucy Chase, who was there when her best friend was murdered, but she doesn't remember everything. She couldn't be convicted of the crime because obviously she doesn't remember anything. She was covered in her best friend's blood, but literally was catatonic when they found her. So this podcaster kind of starts interviewing her, and they try to figure out what happened that night and whether she actually did kill her best friend. This was so much fun. The adventure it went on. It was witty, it was sarcastic, it was all the things, and I absolutely ate it up, and I wish we got more books like this. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I have a love-hate relationship with Lisa Jewell. On one hand, I love a lot of her books, and on the other hand, I really dislike a lot of her books. So this one was an exception to the rule because I absolutely fell in love with it. Again, it was a podcast style. I think I just really like that kind of mixed media in my books. So this follows birthday twins, and one of the twins is actually a psycho, and she tries to kind of take over the other person's life, and they meet by chance. They're just strangers, and she brings her onto her podcast, and they form this relationship, but things go awry really quickly, and I would suggest you read this. It is fun. Like, I think as a palate cleanser you would love it as well, or if you were in a slump it would definitely bring you out, so worth the hype. I don't actually have the first book in the series, but it is The Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I do have the other two books. I didn't get the novella. I didn't have any interest in buying that. I again didn't love the first book. I actually gave it a 3-star, which isn't terrible, but I just thought it was a really long and mundane book. I felt like it was really dreary. I felt like I wasn't sucked in enough. Then the TV series came out and I watched that, and I immediately fell in love and then got the other two books. If you can get through the first book, I think it's really, really worth it. I know most people didn't like these two books, but I thought they were great, particularly As Good as Dead. That was my favorite, even though it's also a chunker. Absolutely think this is worth it. It's so fun. It's YA. There's absolutely no spice if you don't like spice in it, but it does follow different crimes in this small town in the UK. Follows Pip, who for her EPQ, I don't know what that is in school, but it's like your final project, she chooses to focus on this disappearance and / murder that happened in her town, and she uncovers things that she shouldn't have uncovered. Really, really interesting. The TV show also is amazing. Absolutely love it. Would recommend. Definitely worth the hype. Magnolia Parks. I don't have the last book with me. It's still in the UK with my other books because I couldn't carry it here because it was 700 pages. It was huge, but I did read it. Is it worth it? Yay and nay. I would say it depends on your taste. There is a trope in here that most people don't like, which is cheating. So if you don't like cheating in your books, you won't like this. It follows a group of friends in London high society. It is toxic. It is filled to the brim with lots of drama, lots of trauma, but I thought it was a really fun time. I guess I did have a group of toxic friends when I was in high school because I related to these people so much. I do feel like Magnolia didn't have a lot of character growth, to be honest, until the very last book. Like, her relationship with BJ was so tumultuous all the way through. And I feel the same about Daisy. Daisy is too scared to admit her feelings and all these things. I don't know. I preferred Magnolia and BJ's story to Daisy and Christian, to be honest, because I don't know. I just felt like Daisy was super pretentious. So I didn't love that. But would I recommend the series to people? I don't think so. You have to be really particular. Like, someone like my sister who's lived a similar life to me would love these books. I know like a lot of YouTubers that I love and watch all the time didn't really like this because of the toxicity, but I ate it up. So was it worth it? Maybe. Just those spines alone, you already know what this series is. ACOTAR. Again, I was very late to the party on this, but absolutely loved it. It's worth every single little bit of hype that it gets. I don't care what people say. I enjoy her writing. I find it really, really immersive. I find her world building incredible, and her storytelling is just the right amount of detail without being confused or being overwhelmed with too much information. Absolutely love her world, love her characters, love these characters. I cannot wait for the next books to come out. It's worth it. 100% worth it. Again, SJ Maas. I only have 2 of the books with me. I've also only read 3 of the books. Throne of Glass is missing, which is again in the UK. I started off really rough with only reading The Assassin's Blade. Didn't particularly write home about it. Didn't hate it. I thought it was still good, but I was really confused. Once I reached Crown of Midnight, I was like, yes, I'm fed. Give me more. But Throne of Glass was also a 5-star. Crown of Midnight, a 5-star. This was a 4-star. Would recommend. Would recommend. I know a lot of people didn't like it because they didn't like that they got loads of spoilers because it is an older series. For me, I like spoilers. I like to know where we're going, kind of see the journey unfold, but I don't mind spoilers at all. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. It actually makes me more excited to read a book. So for me, I cannot wait to continue the series. Would recommend. Bride by Ali Hazelwood. It was my first Ali Hazelwood I ever read. I didn't love it. I didn't like the way she changed the lore of werewolves and vampires. Unfortunately, I am a millennial. We go way back with the vampires. So this new bleeding, colorful blood and all of that, it just didn't sit very well with me. So I didn't love it for that. But I did like Misery as a character. We follow Misery in this, who's the daughter of like the High Lord of the, what do you call them? Is it a High Lord? I don't know. But I'm just telling you from memory here. The High Lord of the vampires, and they have a treaty with the humans, and they kind of do like an exchange program with their kids. So she gets sent to the human realm. She kind of grows up with humans, so she's shunned by the vampires. Then she's sold off to the werewolf clan to start another peace treaty there, and we just follow that journey along. In some parts it was fun, and I think it was funny. Like the whole knotting situation was taboo, but I didn't think it was anything that crazy. I didn't think it was worth it. I didn't enjoy my time with this, to be honest. Ninth House. I honestly searched high and low for this book because I heard so many good things about how gothic it was, the dark academia. It took me almost 2 months to read this book. I found it really difficult to absorb. I found the sentence structures really difficult. I found the prose to be quite pretentious. I just felt it was too academic for me, and it made me feel dumb. Even though the main female character was a dropout and a drug addict, like how was she more intelligent and knew more things about what was going on than I did? In this, we follow Alex Stern, who's actually rescued from her situation that she was in, and she goes to Yale and joins their secret society as like some sort of medium, and she can see ghosts. So she's that type of medium who kind of sees things, and she helps with procedures with this secret society. But then things start happening and she needs to kind of intervene. I don't know. I kind of want to read the second book because of how it ended. At the same time, this was so difficult. It was such a slog to read. I didn't want to pick it up. And when I was picking it up, I was like, huh? So me, would I recommend this? No. Did I think it was worth the hype? Absolutely not. I don't have the first book once again, and it's exactly where I told you all the rest of my books were. So whenever there's a book missing, I guess you could just assume. The Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I love the series. It wasn't like anything amazing great, but it's so easy to read. It's like eating popcorn. Honestly, you just want to keep snacking on it. I loved the dynamics of all the characters in here. I loved how it associated with their past and then the future and their present and the FBI, I loved how it all just interwound together, and the outcome in the last book I really didn't expect. Absolutely love it. If you don't know, it follows a group of teens who have natural abilities, like for lying and stuff like that. I don't know how to explain it, but there's a human lie detector, there is a girl who's really good at statistics, and there's someone who's really good at reading body language. So they all have these natural knacks for these things, and the FBI recruits them to solve cold cases, but in a few of them, or most of them, they end up in active cases, which kind of puts them in danger. But you just see the journey that they go through. A lot of them are damaged and come from broken homes, so their backstories were really sad, and I loved it, and I love all these characters. Definitely worth the hype in my opinion. Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I actually put this series off for the longest time because I was really scared, because I loved Once Upon a Broken Heart series so much that I was kind of disappointed. I didn't mind the first book, but I do think that we didn't need both second books. They probably could have been combined and just been a duology, and I think it would have been better. I didn't like our main female characters. I found them really immature, and I don't know, again, didn't see a lot of character growth for them. I feel like the characters that we did meet in here and then again in Once Upon a Broken Heart, you wouldn't have missed it. Like, it didn't spoil anything for me personally. I gave the rest of them like a 3.5/3, and as a whole I would give this series a 3. I don't think that you have to read it. If you want something really easy or really quick to read, like if you're going through a slump or you're just looking for something really quick and bite-sized to consume, this is great. I did it in a 24-hour readathon and it went so quickly. I think I read one of the books in like 4.5 hours, which is really fast for me as a slow reader. For that, it's great. At the end of the day, I think the other series is much better. Which brings us to said series, which is Once Upon a Broken Heart. Once Upon a Broken Heart was my first fantasy book I read as like an adult reader. Absolutely loved it. It was so whimsical. It made me feel like I was watching the 2003 version of Peter Pan with Jeremy Sumter. That's what it felt like. It felt like someone was just narrating a little whimsy Disney story to me. Absolutely loved it. I loved the first book, 5 stars. The second book was a 4.5 and the third one was a 3.5. I felt like this book was rushed and I didn't like the resolution at the end of it. Ultimately, as a whole, I would 100% recommend it. It is so worth it. I had so much fun. And again, it's not too complex, but easy to follow. The writing is beautiful. It's whimsy. It has mixed media again. It has all these fates and mythical beings and magic curses, and it's lovely. It's lovely. Absolutely love it. Would recommend. We only have 3 more books/series to go through, so bear with. But Quicksilver. I actually only listened to this on audiobook and I read it over the course of a week. I did like it, but I felt like it was a little bit too dense, and again, way too many words on a page. I felt like it could have happened more quickly. There didn't need to be that much put into it, but I did ultimately have so much fun with it, with the alchemy, and I don't even know what Kingfisher was, and then the vampires and the undead. I thought that was all very interesting. I haven't read the second book, Brimstone, and I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know if this is fully worth the hype. I thought it was a fun time listening to it while I was on my walks. Ultimately, I didn't feel drawn to it enough to want to pick up the second book. Worth the hype? In my opinion, maybe. Then we have Phantasma. I think it's called The Devil's Night. No, that's not it. It's called something. Or Deadly Games? Is that what it's called? I don't know. It's called something like that. But it's Phantasma and Enchantra, which are the 2 books that are currently released, and then there's a 3rd book coming out. I think yes. I like the dark nature of the books, but I preferred Phantasma book 1 because of the 9 circles of hell and all the demons, and it was just so dark, and it was taking place in New Orleans, and I thought that was so fun. I wish we got more elements of the game. It was so much fun. I liked our main female character, Ophelia. I thought she was naive enough, but she was also smart enough, so I think she had the perfect balance of both of those traits in a character. I don't like it when female characters are too cocky or too naive. This felt right in the middle, and I really liked it. But that brings us to Enchantra, where we follow her sister, Genevieve, who's too overly cocky and very egotistical, and she makes the biggest, stupidest mistake because of this. And I don't know, I didn't like her as much. I felt like the use of language with her cussing and swearing all the time was just a little bit out of place, especially for the time period. I just felt like it was a little bit too much. As a whole, do I think it's worth it? Yes, I think it was really, really fun. Lastly, the Kindred Curse saga. So Spark of the Everflame, Glow of the Everflame, Heat of the Everflame, and soon to be Burn of the Everflame. Yes, worth the hype. This is the most annoying main female character I've ever read in a story. However, I'm so invested in what is going on because I read so many pages of it and I thought the world was so complex and so different, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved the world. I loved the concept of the descendants who are like descended from gods, and then the humans like kind of competing in the way they were. DM growing up with a mom who was a healer and learning all these healing abilities, and then her transferring to Luther and his household. I loved that whole dynamic and the way she couldn't really leave her past behind until something bad happened, and she just doesn't believe in herself all the time. The self-esteem just isn't there, but loved it, absolutely loved it. I think it's 100% worth the hype, and I cannot wait for Burn of the Everflame to come out. I wish they had free audiobooks because I would definitely do a re-listen of all the books. Don't be discouraged by the length of these books. It is absolutely phenomenal and so different. And like I said, DM is I wouldn't say she's unlikable. She's just really ditzy and really stupid, and the decisions she makes, she's just back and forth and gives you whiplash, but ultimately the whole story as a whole is just, it's amazing. It's amazing. That's all I can say, and 100% worth it. That is all the books. That is all the books that TikTok made me read, and whether I liked them or thought they were worth it or not. So let me know which of these you read. This has been over the last 3 years, I guess. Definitely have some wins and have some losses, and that's just how life goes. But ultimately, I've had a great time with my reading journey. As you can see, it's very fantasy heavy. I love fantasies, but I do like to dabble with some other genres. Let me know if there's any other book that you would recommend that you found on TikTok and you think I would like based on what you saw here today. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you all in my next one. Bye guys.